go. Good there. And then you are in a place to be. How is it going today on this holiday? Which I really didn't know we scheduled this on a holiday until the last minute. I was like, well, I'm not going to reschedule now. But how are you doing today? You good?
I'm doing great. I got COVID last week, so that's why I'm going to be home anyways on the holiday. So it all worked out.
Oh, yeah, I just got home from the lake, and also did Murph today too. Do you know what Murph is?
Yes, my best friends are CrossFitters, so I am aware of Murph, Cindy. They were talking about that on our FaceTime date yesterday.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I did that this morning. Went to the lake with some friends, and literally just got home about 30 minutes ago. So, well, let's dive in. Do you want to do a little introduction for yourself, and just kind of so everyone kind of knows what we're getting into here?
Yes, we are going to be getting into a lot. So my name is Tatiana Keay. I am a registered dietitian and author. I specialize in gut health primarily, although I love longevity nutrition. I love everything about increasing the human health span. But yeah, overall, I've been a dietitian for 4 years. I help patients heal their gut so they can honestly just live a higher quality life, because when you eat and there's pain associated with it, it really negatively impacts your life. So I help patients specifically in that arena.
Cool. All right. Well, I agree with that for sure. And we're going to talk about that. But you got COVID.
Yes, I got COVID, and I have been immune to it the last 2 years. So I have not gotten it, and I've been around people. So I couldn't believe when I actually had symptoms. I thought I was hungover last Sunday.
Sure.
And lo and behold, it was not hangover, it was COVID. And so all week I've been recovering and I've been fine. But yesterday I lost my sense of taste, which it was like day 6 of COVID, and I lost my taste. And I told myself from the very beginning of the pandemic, if I lost my taste, I'm going to eat celery, because I hate celery and I'm a dietitian. So it's like, I'm supposed to like celery.
Sure.
So I bought celery, Instacarted my celery, and did the test, and I could not taste the celery, and it blew my mind.
So you said you haven't got COVID for 2 years. You just not aware that you didn't have it, or did have it, or not have it?
No, I've just never gotten it. I've been around people, it just never came in to my body, and I thought I was invincible.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was exposed twice that I know of, and to my knowledge, I still haven't gotten it. But I was sick a couple times, and my brother got it, then my mother got something. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that was COVID, but we never got fully tested. But it wasn't bad. It was just literally a bad cold.
Yeah. If you're a generally healthy person with a okay immune system, you're going to be fine. But yeah, you should get your antibodies checked to see if you had it.
That's what I want to do. That's the next thing on my list. But this was months ago, so I don't even know how long afterwards if you can see me still do that.
Yeah, I think it's actually a couple months or like 3 months that you want to check after.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to do that just because I want to know, and if I did get it, that I'm happy how my body actually dealt with it. But even when it first came out, and I don't want to make this a whole COVID podcast, but when it first came out that I was so nervous and worried that, when people were just, oh, you're going to be on a ventilator, then they found out ventilators are almost killing people. Then they're like, don't get on a ventilator. Don't do that. Then
right.
It was like up your vitamin D. It was like, take a multivitamin. It's like, So I was like, oh, what do we do? Yeah. But now it seems like the longer it went, it just became like, oh, it's just a bad cold. You'll be fine. As long as you're generally healthy, like you said, you're probably going to be okay.
Right.
And I'm not taking anything away from anybody who's ever had a bad experience with it or know anybody, but it seems like that was kind of the general idea of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I worked in the hospital as a clinical dietitian when the pandemic first hit, and it was scary. It's just the uncertainty, but now we have more information about it, and the strains are not as severe as they were back in March of 2020. So I think, we're generally okay. Keep your vitamin D levels up. That's most important, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. It's kind of goes along the lines with just anything new to, if you want to say, our species or life or whatever, just because something new comes out. And if you don't know anything about it, no one really knows how to handle it or what to do. But obviously, as you get more research, you do more things. It's just like, oh, okay, maybe we should have did it this way, but let's do it this way now, and you will probably be okay. But yeah, it's just the general consensus, it seems like, and obviously it's, I don't know how old you are, but it's just one of those things that in our lifetime it never happened, especially for me, or anything big. I think the only major event I remember was 9/11, really. And then we had this. I was like, oh,
right.
Now we have a new one each month, it seems like.
Yes, now it's just we're living in a pandemic with masks all the time, and it's a new world we're in for sure.
Where are you at? Are you in California?
I'm in California, SoCal.
Mm-hmm. Is it kind of lightened up over there? Like for me, I'm over here in Virginia. It seems pretty laid back now. Just kind of do whatever you want to.
Yeah, I was in Southern California. I'm in San Diego County, so San Diego's pretty chill. So yeah, it's definitely chilled out quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it seems like the general consensus around here, but almost there are some cases that came up a little bit. Now some people are getting worried again, but
right, this new substrain of Omicron. So what I had is a substrain of Omicron. So it's not too bad.
So was that you just lost your taste and just kind of felt bad?
Yeah, well, it started with the headache, which I thought I was hungover. So I had a headache for 2 days, and then it started developing into like a fever, and I got like fever brain. And honestly, it felt like I was high. It was the weirdest sensation ever. And then I did get a cough, and now I just lost my sense of taste as of yesterday.
And you don't have it back at all?
A back cough?
No, your taste, you don't have it back?
No, this is day 2, so I'll be eating celery today.
Okay. Well, so fever brain, is that just a fever? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know if you've had a fever.
I've never heard of that. Yeah, I mean, I've had a regular fever.
It feels like it's a weird like mental state. I don't know. That's what I'm just calling it, because I felt like I was like on psychedelics or something. It was very strange.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard of that, but sounds pretty interesting. Yeah.
I think I coined it. That's my term.
Okay, I like it. I mean,
fever brain.
It sure is. What is that? But so, all right. So, like I said, I don't want to make this a COVID podcast. So, what led you down the whole dietitian road? I mean, is it something you've always done your whole life and wanted to be healthy and eat better, or was it just you hit rock bottom somewhere and it's like, I got to change my shit around?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people end up hitting rock bottom and then they find themselves. And that did happen along the way. But I've always been into health in general. My dad was very health oriented. He was always about organic. Like we never had junk food in the house. So I was kind of primed to always be interested in health and to be interested in nutrition.
Sure.
But when I was in college, my first year, they're like, pick a major. And I was like, well, I love healthcare. I do love the human body. And as soon as I found out that I could major in nutrition. I was like, that is it. And so from there, I went to Loma Linda University, got my bachelor's and master's in nutrition and dietetics. And after that, you take a board exam to be certified, so I'm credentialed as a nutrition expert. Now I'm practicing and I'm in the gut health world.
Nice. Yeah. One of my best friends is about to get his master's at Chapel Hill, or start his master's, I was saying, in dietitian and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's always kind of interesting. I mean, plus, like I was saying, I'm one of those CrossFitters, and I didn't really get serious with my nutrition until 2016, 2017. And I actually it kind of, what's the best word? It made me realize how much more of a role nutrition plays within performance and lifestyle and just daily life and anything. And for me, it was just like growing up, it was just always to see whatever you want to. Nobody cares. And it's just we didn't have the research, we didn't have the know-how or the knowledge, and so I didn't know what I was doing, to myself or how it was affecting me. And then now it's kind of, oh, there is a science of this shit. It's like, this makes sense now.
Yes, and you can feel the difference too when you eat well.
Yeah, and so since then, when I first started, it was with Renaissance Periodization. I don't know if you know who they are, but it's basically just one of those meal template kind of diet business people or whatever, and they send you these. They're a bigger name in the CrossFit world, but they send you these fat loss templates, or you can gain muscle, or a lot of bodybuilders and fitness competitors use them, or finesse. What's the swimsuit competitions? Finesse? I don't know why I said that. Okay, but anyway, that's when I started to learn like how my body was reacting to. They kind of based it off macros, proteins, carbs, and fats, and then I would just it was to say, hey, you should eat this much chicken today, or much protein, or much fats, or whatever. And that was just kind of like, and I saw my body changing over the course. I think I did it for 3, 4, maybe 6 weeks. Yeah, and I got the leanest I ever did, and I was like, oh, this works.
Yes, when you eat, your body changes.
But it was just, I really didn't need to. I mean, I'm a pretty light guy as it is, but it was just kind of the thing for me in that time of my life. I just wanted to see if I could do it and challenge myself and get down lean. And I felt good. I was even still competing in my CrossFit workouts, and I was still crushing my my weights and every movement felt good. And even like just walking around daily, I felt great, even though I was kind of hungry all the time. But other than that, I felt great. But that's when I kind of learned that, okay, like I said, there's a science to this shit, and let's try to figure out some more. And so that's the reason I like talking to people who are like yourself, who actually, study it and get involved with it a lot more, because I feel for you at the same time, just because it's always changing, and it's almost like it's a dogma mentality, just because it's hard to have these conversations with people who have stuck to one, let's say, Whole30, whatever, and that's all they want to preach about or whatever. And it's like, no, this is what you do. This is what you got to do. It's like, that's not necessarily how it goes.
Right. There's a whole diet culture that we live in, and people are identifying with diets, which is very strange to me because humans have never done this in human history. We used to eat to survive. And now we're like vegan and keto and Whole30 and low carb. And it's just very interesting that people are, identifying themselves with a particular diet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you label yourself as, like, hey, I eat a lot of meat or whatever, you're instantly in some new group, and that people will see you instantaneously different from everyone else. And it was just, this is just what works for me. I mean, sorry. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Yes, I love Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, and like he went carnivore diet, and I'm not saying I do the carnivore diet, but I mean, he did that, and it actually helped his autoimmune deficiencies or whatever, and he can sustain his lifestyle. Even his daughter does the same thing, and she's had a lot of health problems, and that was the only thing she found that worked for her.
Right. Yeah. The carnivore diet is interesting, and there's definitely a place for it in the therapeutic world. But for someone to just go carnivore, I cringe at that. But there's definitely a place, just like most therapeutic diets, for autoimmune issues or for gut health issues. There's a time and a place for it.
Yeah. Well, carnivore is one of those, basically an elimination diet, right? Yeah. So, and if you don't know what that is, it's just basically eliminate everything else but a certain specific group, and to see how your body's changing, just like we were saying. But do you think it's one of the downfalls of, with people with diets and diet culture, they don't know how to experiment or write a food journal or try to figure out what's working for them and what's not working for them? Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Okay, and we're back. Sorry, little technical difficulties. If there might be a little misreading, miss whatever on the actual recording. But yeah, we were talking about carnivore, Jordan Peterson, and I asked, okay, because we said carnivore was basically an elimination diet, so to speak, and that, do you think a lot of people don't realize that they can do a diet like that, not even have to be carnivore, just eliminate things from their diet if they figure out or find out certain foods or food groups are not working for them? I think it's what
Yes. And there's definitely a time and place for elimination diets. And if you are actually struggling with a health condition, a medical condition, then definitely at that point, that's when you should find a dietitian to put you on the correct elimination diet. So that way you're not just flailing and trying every different elimination diet out there. Because, for some people, it truly is gluten that's bothering their gut. Sure. Other people, it's dairy, but just to keep cutting out, it leaves people very fearful of food. And then they end up eating things like chicken and zucchini and rice, and that's all. And that doesn't help. I mean, that's not going to be healing their body. So if you are actually struggling with a medical condition, definitely talk to a professional, so that way you can get the help you need, essentially.
Yeah, back in college, when I was a lifting bro then and stuff, I thought that all you had to do was just eat chicken, brown rice, and broccoli, and you'd get far in life.
Oh, I was the same way. In college. I mean, I've tried every diet possible. And I remember being my smallest was, when I was eating chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Yeah.
I think we've all tried it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd go on bodybuilding.com, I think it was back then. And like, they'd have workouts, and, all my gym bros were doing it. It was like, this is how you're going to get big, bro. This is how you got to do. But I mean, so you've played around with a lot of different diets to try to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. And the long story short is the dieter's mindset does not work in our current society.
Good point.
I'm a big believer in, each person's diet is going to be different. And I'm a believer in individualized nutrition. So, and also at the same time, having a good relationship with food, especially, I mean, men have this issue too, but especially females, we live in a diet culture that tells us we must look a certain way. Yeah. Our bodies must be skinny, and that creates mental stress in the female brain when you're unable to do it. So I'm a big believer in, self-love and eating well out of self-respect, not because you're supposed to be on a diet.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that. And, when I say diet, I always kind of cringe at myself for saying that because a diet seems temporary, right? Yeah. And that it's almost like a lifestyle change. And I'm not saying you should deprive yourself or do anything like that, but I know that, all right, so today, for example, we did Murph and then we had a cookout. So I was over there eating, some burgers and hot dogs and whatever. But I know I can do, and which I'm not saying there's anything bad with that if you're doing it, but I know that I don't eat this way all the time. Plus there's a bunch of desserts and stuff and I was just crushing them. But that's, maybe one day out of the 7 days out of the week that I'm doing that. Did I say that right? Yeah, 6 out of 7 days.
It's not your, it's not 100% of your diet that you're eating hamburgers and hot dogs. It's a treat. It's a special occasion. And that's where those foods should be. If we're eating, pouring down Oreos every night, that's a little bit different than, having friends over and baking cookies. Yeah. There's a difference. And we always have to ask ourselves, what's the intention behind eating some of these less healthy foods? Mm-hmm. Is it because, yes, it's a party and we're enjoying, or is it because we're emotionally eating because we feel bad about ourselves?
Do you think that's a lot of it? Especially with in modern times that, with body shaming and, I guess if you want to say diet shaming, like we were talking about being labeling people because they do a specific diet, and just with the stress of just being a person, I guess growing up that, this is a people's some reward system and they fall in this, what do you call it, a negative behavioral loop. And that's what they just crush Oreos every night when they get home and crush out Stranger Things. And then they, 3 or 4 weeks goes down the road, they don't realize what happened because they didn't ask questions and they just did it. And they're like, oh shit. Oh no.
Yep. Yeah. It happens a lot. And it's not 3 or 4 weeks. It's years that people do this. And over time it starts deteriorating their health. But that's where, dietitians come in and other healthcare professionals to get them out of that loop, that spiral down of trying to cope with their emotions with food. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help your health. And it actually doesn't even help with the emotional healing, whatever it is, whether, a spouse passes away or, you just you lose your job or just even this pandemic. Like there's so many mental stressors out there. And if we don't learn to cope with them without food, we're in big trouble. Because food is so easy and it's so gratifying and it gives us that dopamine hit that makes us feel good, which is why it's addicting and which is why people do it, because it works. It makes them feel good temporarily.
With a lot of clients that you're working with, is this kind of what you see maybe across the board?
Across the board. Yep. I would say 90% of my patients have emotional eating issues. Really? And most of them, it started back with a particular stressor. And the same goes with the gut. As soon as they have this micro trauma is what I tend to call it, their gut becomes imbalanced. Their eating habits become imbalanced because now they're trying to cope with the emotion. So usually we can pinpoint it to a specific event in their life.
So wait, when you say micro trauma, you mean like a bad life experience?
Yep. A bad life, whether, it's someone passing away or losing a job or, something that is a trauma for them that they now ruminate on.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I knew exactly what you meant by that because I never really heard anybody. I usually just hear people say trauma instead of micro trauma.
Yeah. And trauma also exists. I would say trauma is, more so, sexual abuse, which does happen, emotional abuse, but micro traumas is just taking it one level down, but also still recognizing that the brain is viewing that as a stressor and as something detrimental.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a patient, he lost his dog. His dog passed away and that was the start of his GI issues. And so, we're calling that little scenario micro trauma because it literally impacted his physical and emotional well-being.
Yeah. And part of that, this is just reminding me, and I don't know if I've talked about this on here, but if I have, I'm sorry, folks. But anyway, when I was in 8th grade, we went through 8th through 12th in high school, like a really rural area. So, but I remember I was always so nervous going into high school because I was really short, I was really small, like literally 100 pounds walking in 8th grade. And I was always going to be the guy that got picked on, as far as movies, being bullied, that's all I ever saw. But instantaneously, we'd pull up to our gym, and it was like a huge wraparound thing in our bus, and this huge circular driveway, and my stomach would instantly just start cramping and going crazy. And usually my breakfasts back then were nothing, awesome, but it was just cereal, maybe some eggs and whatever. But it was like little things like that would just make my stomach hurt for like better part of the whole morning. And I just remember just something that small, just me walking into huge high school, just so scared I was going to get beat up. And it never happened. I never got beat up. I never really got bullied besides just random, boys picking on each other, saying stupid jokes and calling shorty or whatever. But it never happened. Every day, like up until probably 9th or 10th grade, like it was just until I started driving, actually I felt more grown up or more in control of my life or something. Yeah. Or more, I don't know, adult. Yeah, right. I get it. Yeah. I get it is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, your nervous system had an impact on your physical well-being. And that's how powerful the mind is. If the mind is not comfortable, it will show up in physical symptoms.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever said that or out loud anyway, but yeah, it was so, thinking about it now, I still kind of get that feeling back, but it was literally just my whole stomach would just cramp up. And, and then when was this? So I had a colonoscopy at 24, 25, and it was just because I had some stuff going on. They couldn't figure it out why, but they found out I had an ulcer inside one of but it was small. It was real small. It wasn't big. But so I was wondering if that was part of the stress growing up. And because okay, cool. Because I was like, my diet was never, it was never that bad. I know it was, little drinking here and there in college or nothing, but a lot of drinking probably. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just more due to stress.
Yes. And that's why a lot of people like to think of nutrition as like everything, but that's just one pillar. Your mental health and your managing your stress is another pillar to well-being, because you could have a perfect diet, but if you don't control that stress that you had of going into school and being worried that you're going to get bullied, that's enough to destroy your digestive system.
For sure. Yeah. You might need to correct me on that. And just, obviously when you're stressed, it release cortisol, and cortisol is just does it retain fat?
So cortisol will increase blood sugars. And then when blood sugars are elevated for a long time, it can turn into fat in the bloodstream. Yeah.
But a lot of it, you said that perfectly. A lot of people don't realize, in their daily life, how much stress they're under, how much it's impacting themselves. And it's one of those things that you just got to kind of sit back, and this might sound easier said than done, but sit back and reflect on yourself and like realize what's going wrong, what's going right, and make the change. Who is it? Are you a friend of Mad Men or that show? Oh, Donald Draper. He always says some stupid saying in there, like, if you don't like the way the conversation's going, then change it. So, and that's it's kind of like, and it's applied to a bunch of different things with me. It's like, hey, I don't like how things are going, so we need to change something.
Exactly. And that comes in with reflection and awareness. And that's why meditation is so popular right now, is because people are finally realizing if they just quiet their freaking monkey brain, they can actually think clearly and see their life for what it is. We tell ourselves these stories and we tell ourselves lies about ourselves, and they're not true. Exactly. Just like your brain was telling you, Chris, I am going to get bullied today. I'm going to get beat up today because I'm small. Exactly. And it never happened. That voice is a liar. And I love the book, The Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Jr., Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. It is wonderful. And he puts it so simply about how we need to shut the heck up this voice in our head.
Yeah, that's like I said, a lot of people, I try to say that a lot on here, but it's almost easier said than done. But it's almost just getting out of your own way, right? And just like usually when I start to think like that, it's almost like imposter syndrome, and that I get in that real negative and start thinking about real negative talk with myself. But I instantly put up this red stop sign in my head, and that's my cue. Is like, dude, stop, man. Get something, change this. Like we said earlier, this negative spiral, and go back up to positive. Whatever you got to do to reset. And meditation is a good way. Do you meditate? I've been trying to incorporate that.
Yes, I love meditation. For me, I had my big downfall back in 2013, and my whole life crumbled apart.
Can we
I
talk
broke
about
up.
that?
Yeah, well, I'll give you the gist. So I broke up with my high school boyfriend. I broke my wrist. My car got broken into, and I got all my stuff stolen. So I was at my lowest point in my life, and I honestly believe it was God throwing a storm at me so I could wake the hell up. And I did. And I remember I was at my lowest point, and I just thought, what can I do? And I went on YouTube, and I don't know how I stumbled upon a guided meditation, but I was like, this is it. I'm done being at the bottom. And I started listening to that guided meditation. And since then, my life has only climbed to where I am now. Yeah. So it all started with getting myself out of that deep hole is with meditation.
I like stories like that where people, I don't want to say you hit rock bottom, but you go through a hardship in your life, and instead of just going along with it and let it drag you down, you say, nah, bro, we turn this thing around and come up, and I love stories like that. Even, in movies and books, guy gets the girl at the end of it and he wasn't supposed to or whatever, and little things like that. And it's just, I like talking to people like, I don't know, I've never really had a really bad hardship like that in my life, but for the most part, I just love hearing stories like, especially talking with people like you. It's, I get, I want to go run through a brick wall, I get hyped up over it.
Yeah, no, it's motivating to hear other people, but honestly, most people the pressure gets so bad that they have no choice but to start getting up, Yeah,
well, that's part of it, is that, you can either sit down there and just let it keep beating you down, or you can just say, hey, I got to do something about this.
Yes. And that's how most of my patients end up coming to me, because they're like, I've been trying to do this on my own, but I just can't do it anymore. I need actual help. And so that's the beauty of my job, is I do get to help people emerge from this darkness.
Awesome. Well, there's just, do you agree that there's just so much, say I want to lose 20 pounds today, or get in shape for a 5K, or whatever somebody's goal is. I mean, is it just so much knowledge or so much information out there right now? It's so overwhelming that no one has or most people don't have a clue on where to start at. And obviously going down a YouTube rabbit hole or Google thing is just kind of almost leading next to nowhere. So is that the point where like, all right, we got to find Tatiana here. Maybe she's going to help me out.
Yes, that's exactly when you hire a health coach, or, obviously you want to find the best health coach out there that fits with you. But yeah, I can't even count how many patients I've had that they come to me and they're like, I've read everything online and I still don't know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, because you confused yourself, which is even why I read, or I wrote my book, Hungry for Truth, because I saw all the controversies, and I know that if I was confused as a dietitian, that there has to be other people that were confused too. And so that's why I took all of the common lies that people believe about health and nutrition, and I debunked them and provided over 75 truths about
That's awesome.
true eating well for longevity.
Well, I mean, working in this field, do you feel overwhelmed with, so much of, for example, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that sugar I forgot what it was, but there's actually evidence of sugar companies placing blame on saturated fats for blood disorders or blood disease or heart. God, I can't talk today. Heart disease and everything else. So yeah, do you find it overwhelming just trying to keep up and staying, with the trends? And
yes,
I do. Now I do it.
I like it though. Obviously that's why I chose this field, is because I like to learn. But yeah, it is overwhelming, and it got frustrating for me once I graduated school, because I thought I would know everything. But honestly, that's when my real learning began, was once I graduated, once I became a dietitian, and once I started working with people, because it's easy to put someone on a low calorie diet in a clinical study when they're getting incentivized, but you try to translate that to the real world, it does not work.
Exactly. No, I just wanted to say that, I'm reading, it's called Sacred Cow right now.
Oh, and,
and so a lot of the first beginning of the book, they're actually talking about these studies and stuff, and how they're, what's the word am I trying to say? But they're not exactly giving out all the facts for the studies. Just,
they cherry pick.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, it's just like somebody who, had heart disease from eating meat or whatever. That's kind of whatever. But it's like, well, what were they also eating with their meat and stuff? And it's like, and it was like, they didn't say that part of it though.
Right. It's the context of our diet. That's with anything, with sugar, with saturated fat. It's what are you eating? Where is that food coming from? Is it coming from burgers, fries, and a shake?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you getting cheese from your salad and, putting some fresh, grass, free range chicken on there?
Mm-hmm.
Two different scenarios, both have saturated fat.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I don't know if you have any insight on this, but in the book, they basically said that, grass-fed versus, I guess, regular grain-fed, there's not really much difference.
Oh, I would disagree with that.
Really?
They've been able to, they take the nutrition profiles of the grass-fed, grass-finished beef and then the grain-fed antibiotic cows, and there's more omega-3 fatty acids in the grass-fed, grass-finished. And omega-3 fatty acid is an anti-inflammatory fat that the human body needs in high quantities because your brain is made out of it.
It's interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I know. They said there was marginal differences, and maybe they just put it into our perspective, like as far as money and what you're getting out of the nutrition quality from it. Mm-hmm. But so I guess if you pay more for the grass-fed,
you definitely pay more. Yeah, it's definitely more expensive. And most people can taste the difference between the two.
Can you? I can't.
I'm not a huge meat eater as it is. I'm more of a flexitarian, but yeah, I can taste the difference.
What's a flexitarian?
Flexitarian is someone who is mostly plant-based, but I dibble dabble with fish and animal products.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Just another label to add on to our list. Another identity.
No, I haven't heard of flexitarian, but you found out that's what works best for you, though, personally?
Yes. Yeah. Because I personally, if someone put a steak in front of me, I would maybe eat a bite of it. I'm not really into meat, but also at the same time, I'm not completely vegetarian. I will, get steak on my Chipotle sometimes, especially as a woman, during my cycle, I need more iron. So I'm just more intuitive when it comes to my eating behavior. So if I want to eat meat, if I want to eat steak, I'm going to eat it. If I don't want to eat it, I'm not. So that's where I mean by flexitarian. Okay. I'm flexible with all the diets.
Okay. Well, I like it, just because, I like things all right. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I don't believe there is one diet that fits all, obviously. And that it just kind of matters on the person and their microbiome and their life and all this shit. But yeah, I like blending a bunch of different things together and finding out, what you just said, what works for that one person. And it suck at first and it might take a while to figure it out, but once you do, it's great. And yeah.
Exactly. And it'll change with different seasons of life, right? So yeah, if you're, prepping for a competition, you're going to be eating much different versus if it's a season of rest where, you're, more vegging out, life, your diet is allowed to change. That's the thing. And I think diet culture tells you it can't, but you're in charge of your life and you're in charge of what you put in your diet and in your body. And so you can say, hey, you know what? I actually sat for most of the day. Maybe I don't need that much energy and that many calories today. Versus if it's a day that, you did a Murph, the Murph workout, you want to eat more. You want to have burgers and fries to replenish your body. So we're allowed to be flexible. And I think diet culture tells us otherwise.
Yeah, that's one good thing that it does tell you otherwise, and that a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, you guys gotta, like I said, it just sucks having to figure out how one thing would work for you. All right, so for example, speaking of Murph and eating afterwards, there was some science there, and I want to get your insights on this too, that you should, depending on your workout, depending on how much intensity you put in and duration and all that it's okay to have a Snickers and a Coke immediately after your workout and put the sugar back in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you know who Floyd Mayweather? Yeah, I hope I said his name right. Mm-hmm. Mayweather is? Yeah, that's what he would do after all of his intense boxing training. He would go have a Coke. Yeah, and some people are like, no sugar, but little things like that.
It depends on what the intention is and what's the goal. So for me, I personally am very anti-soda. If there's any food item I'm anti, it is soda. And because the human body was never meant to consume that. Sure. But the best time to drink a soda would definitely be right after an intense workout, because at least your body will be utilizing every glucose molecule versus if someone who's just sitting on the couch drink a soda, that's going to get converted to fat.
Yeah. And when I was doing my RP templates there, immediately. Well, no. So during my workouts, they would say drink half a protein and you'd have to mix a Gatorade powder with it. So drink half of it before and drink the rest of it afterwards. And it tasted awful. I mean, I'm not a foodie, so I would just crush it anyway. And I was like, whatever. But yeah, like I was like, well, I don't know if I should be putting sugar because this was 2017, and even still, that sugar is the enemy, I guess. But I was like, okay, well, I mean, they're smarter than I am. I'm gonna trust it.
Right. And it just depends on the person's goals. Like if they are trying to like cut and shred, like, yeah, maybe the sugar isn't the best idea. But if you're just trying to work on your performance, you need the carbohydrates.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you need to go walk around the block and you can reward yourself with a Coke and a Snickers, but it all depends on how you're training is what it came down to. Which a lot of this stuff is basically how are you training? What is your daily life like? And it seems like the only thing that I've seen, you might say something different, that is we can all kind of agree on is that there is some good science with calories in, calories out. Kind of what you said.
I think it's more than that because calories from a soda and calories from an avocado do two different complete mechanisms in the body. So one is going to raise your triglycerides, which is fat essentially. And then the other is not even going to do anything to insulin. So they definitely, even though they both might have 150 calories, they're not acting the same way in the body. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, overall, it's the processed food that we should just be minimizing, calories aside, just minimizing processed foods and going more so to a whole food diet. One ingredient foods that we know exactly what it is, preferably lots of plants because that's, necessary for gut health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we need to retract that because now that I think about it, if you put alcohol, like empty cows, into your body, you're really not getting any nutritional value, even though it is calories, like you just said. Okay, I feel like an idiot now, but that's okay.
No, you're good.
That's why we're talking about this. This is what we're getting
exactly, and that's why I'm glad you brought it up because that's one, a chapter in my book where I debunk the whole calorie in, calorie out method. And yes, it's easy in the clinical trials, and that's why, like, if you go to a clinical trial on low calorie, people lose weight. They do, but again, they were incentivized. So they are getting paid to be on a low calorie diet. And also there's no follow-up. And if they did have follow-up, they usually all gain the weight back.
So do you think with talking about processed foods and ultra processed and all that with the American lifestyle and American contemporary diet, it's really hard to avoid those? That because it's so easy just to run out there and feed a family of four and run through McDonald's or whatever your choice is.
Yes, it's very difficult. And I always start off by saying it's not your fault. This is not your fault that you live in the most obesogenic society ever. But we also need to know it's our responsibility. And I know Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, which is why he's so popular, is that you are in control of your life. And yes, although the rest of the world is doing one thing, it's up to you to do something different.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. How'd you say it? A society?
The obesogenic society.
Obesogenic society. Yeah, because I read a stat, or I heard it on a podcast, that the average American male weighs 190 pounds with a 40-inch waist right now. And back, if you compare that to Civil War era, which was 1860s, I think the average male was 140 pounds. Yeah. And which, someone could argue that, well, that's, over 100 years ago. But still, look how much has changed. Is that good or bad?
Right. It's not good. And our health is deteriorating, and which means we have to pay more money for the people who are abusing the system of just eating whatever they want. And big food industry, big pharma, and the government are all getting nice little paychecks while other people are suffering. And so again, it's up to you as the individual to not go for the convenience. Like I could literally order, fast food on my phone right now, and it'll be here by the end of our conversation. Exactly. And is that going to benefit my health and longevity? No,
but it's just so easy to do. And that people just want those instantaneously things they can get right then without having to actually work for it. And, and I agree that it sucks having to come home and cook. I don't like cooking. And I'm not, I just do it because I have to. And I usually eat the same meal every time anyway, just because, I eat like a boring person is how I say it, just because it works for me. And I know it works for me, Tomorrow I'm going to feel good. Like today at the lake with me and my buddy, we were talking about, because he's experimented with a bunch of different diets too. It's like, we've been doing different. And he did high protein, low carb for so long that he actually started introducing more carbs back into himself. And he's like, it's kind of what you said. You said fever brain earlier, but he said brain fog. And he was like, I just didn't feel like I felt kind of sluggish and weird all day. So it's just, Yeah, the whole point is just trying to figure it out, and it sucks. But once you do, like I said earlier, it works.
It's worth it. It's
worth
the journey. Just like making money is the same type of deal. You put aside the instant gratification, you save your money, and you can live large, in the future, right? Versus just blowing all your money now. Eating a bunch of junk food now is the same thing. It's going to slowly deteriorate your health versus if you're being disciplined as best as you can, finding what works for you. If that means working with a healthcare provider, like it's going to be worth it in the end.
Yeah. Do you think there's an issue with too much food in this country?
Yes, of course.
I mean,
okay, so this is what I think is the bigger issue versus like too much food, bigger portions is our frequent eating. We eat frequently now. And this is definitely like the fitness culture got involved here with eating every like 2 hours to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. But the human body was meant to fast. And so I am so supportive of the intermittent fasting fad right now because this is the most natural fad diet we have seen in decades. The human body went through periods of fasting and feasting back in the day when we were caveman, even you go back 500 years and it's like we slaved away all day to make one meal.
Sure.
And that's not the case anymore. I could go grab some crackers. I can go grab a piece of fruit. I can go, get my Postmates delivered. Like I have access to eating food whenever I want to. And that has never been the case for a human before.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody knew where their next meal was going to come from back in the day. And
right.
Yeah. And plus all the energy you were putting out and doing everything you could just to try to figure out what kind of meal you were going to have, which was, do you think it was mostly meat, obviously, with some, fruits and vegetables?
Depended on where your roots came from, where your genes came from. Some people were in a predominantly meat-based society. Other people ate a ton of root vegetables, so it depends on like where your genetics comes from.
Yeah.
But yeah, frequent eating is a big problem that I see in the gut health world because you have to think if you're eating if you're eating 3 meals a day and snacks in between, your digestive system is going all day. Like it is working all day. There's never a break. And we need that break. We need the balance between eating and not eating, but we're always eating and we're eating late at night too, which was again, never part of the human experience. Like after it went dark outside, we didn't go eat with the coyotes at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. Like we were in the cave hiding.
Yeah, no, going back I know I've talked about RP already, but yeah, that was their thing. I think I was eating 6 times a day. And even now, I don't weigh my food anymore. I just kind of eat what I want to eat, but it's quality over quantity. It's like, that's good. That's all I need. And I eat roughly 3 to 4 times a day and I'm still just maintaining and I can sustain this lifestyle and it's good. But I practice a little bit of intermediate fasting, but I'll just do it on Sundays basically, which I don't know why I do it on Sundays. It was just kind of, I woke up, this has probably been 6 months ago, maybe longer. And I was like, I'm going to try it, and I think I did it for 8-ish hours. I think most people do like 12 to 16. I could be wrong on that. Yeah. But
so you have an 8-hour eating window on Sundays?
Yeah. I get up and usually I just chug some water and I don't think water takes you out of it, right? That's okay. No. Okay, yeah. I thought it was like coffee and stuff.
Yeah, plain water, plain coffee, plain tea. Okay. Those don't break the fast.
Okay, and so usually I would just chug that. And, I usually get up on Sundays around 7-ish, 7:30-ish. And then I would just kind of just go out through my day and just wait till, almost dinner time. And I would just make me something then. And I was okay all day with just drinking water and stuff. And I didn't feel different. Then I was kind of more worried about the following day because that's when I would start my, training again. Obviously, Sunday's usually my rest day for my workouts. And I was like, oh shit, how am I going to feel today? And it didn't really affect me. I didn't feel like it affected me any. So I'm still just cruising along.
And do you know why it didn't affect you?
I have no clue. I don't know a lot about this.
Because Chris, you're metabolically flexible, meaning your body is able to break down both fat and incoming energy in the form of food. So your body is able to switch between the two freely. So that's why it's easy for you on Sundays to just, have one meal a day. However, if you go to someone, let's just say we go to our average American who's eating 6 times a day, eating a bunch of junk food, and then they try to go to a 16-hour overnight fast, they're going to have the hardest time because their body is so used to incoming energy. It doesn't know how to burn fat, but your body knows how to do both. That
makes perfect sense. I never thought about it like that.
Yes. So it's pretty cool.
Tell me about this. With intermediate fasting, I've heard this before, and this might be one of these food myths. Does it reset your palate? as far as taste?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I wouldn't say necessarily resets your palate, but when you are fasting, cell turnover is faster. So your cells in your digestive system, you recycle basically. So you will have newer cells. Essentially, you will be younger. So in a way, yes, you could change your taste buds.
Yeah, I forgot where I heard that from, and I guess that kind of makes sense, but I've never, like I said to you, I probably could tell you more of what I don't want to eat or what I will. What's that what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Really the only thing, if somebody asks me what your favorite food is or the one thing you don't want to eat, I say grits, and then I would still eat them just like if I went over to your house and, say your family made it for me, I was like, I'm still going to eat it, but I won't like it. But everything else, most of them just eat whatever, and I really don't care. It's just, I use see food as fuel for me. And,
yes. Yeah. And that's a luxury mindset to have because so many people are caught in I need to eat. Food is my life. Mm-hmm. Food is what makes me feel good. And I think people like you with your mindset, and I am similar too. I don't eat to live. Right. Yeah. Or I guess we do. We eat to live.
We do.
Right. But some people, it's their coping mechanism is only food. And the fact that we can detach from food and not feel like we need to be eating at every second or be thinking about food at every second of the day is a blessing.
Yeah. Just, I've never gotten it, and I'm not taking away from people who are foodies and that's how they make their living or whatever. But, and don't get me wrong, if I went to a new city or whatever, I would try a new restaurant, but I can never really say that, I've sat down and let's say I've had the best, I don't know, steak or whatever we were talking about earlier in my life. It's like, oh, this was just the greatest thing in my world. But it was just it was good. Yeah. But it's not changed my life. I mean, but maybe I just haven't had that meal yet. Maybe there's some people who've had that meal.
Yeah. And maybe that's a good place for development for you is finding some more excitement with food, whether it's trying something new or learning how to cook something different.
Yeah. Well, there's one of those things that, I've been reading a lot about people who eat, game meat and stuff. And, and I've never, in my area, I really don't have any access to it, and which, I'd like to, and just see what it'd be like. I remember the one time, I think the most thing I've ever had was bear. And I was in 12th grade then. And somebody brought it in where we were working at. And I don't remember, I was just kind of like, it's good, it's fine. But, when people say it tastes gamey and stuff, I was like, I don't know. It's good to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I've never tried anything abnormal, like meat wise. I'm definitely more like beef, chicken, fish.
Well, that's not even just for meat. I mean, if it was, I don't need a lot of, I'm basically, my diet is meat, fruit, and some vegetables here and there. And it works. But, even if there was some other non-meat dish, I mean, I'm willing to try it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I mean, I don't know what I don't even know what that dish would be, but let's crush it. But and going off that though, and we're probably circling back with this, but if we talk about vegetarians and vegans and, after a few weeks, they start to feel better when they start these diets or whatever. And do some people realize that, well, when you started these diets, you probably also eliminated again, a lot of sugar and other bad shit that you probably shouldn't have been anyway.
Exactly. And that's every diet. Every diet starts off with, cutting out all the processed food. So people say, this is it. I feel amazing. It's this diet. And it's you took out all the crap in your diet and now you're eating whole foods.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think that, and part of that book I was reading, Sacred Cow, or am reading, they went in to discuss pregnancies with people who are vegan and stuff and how bad it can be for the embryo inside.
Yes, because the vegan diet is missing essential nutrients, and essential meaning the human body needs it. So for anyone to say that a vegan diet is natural for humans is completely wrong. Like the human body needs omega-3 and you could not eat that much algae, naturally, you would need to supplement with it.
Do you get a lot of pushback with your clients when you talk about, like we were talking about labels and stuff that, no, I heard this is the way, kind of what we were talking about earlier with dogma mentality on these diets?
Yeah, I'm more gentle with my patients. Obviously I have to be compassionate and gentle and understand that this is their belief system. So I take them out of it very slowly, not abruptly, unless it's one of those patients that are tell me everything. And then I'll just give it to them. All
right. Well, here's a good question. So how does it work? So let's say I don't know, I wanted to be able to run a 5K tomorrow or whatever, or just, I don't know, I want to get healthier in some form. And I come to you and what do? Or how does it start?
I would ask you, what is your why? Why do you want to do that?
Okay. I want to lose 10 pounds for the beach.
But why?
Because I want to look better in front of everybody.
But why does that matter?
I don't know, because that's what society told me, Tatiana.
Okay. That's the psychological component that a lot of people are missing, is understanding what their intention. Is it truly due to insecurity? Or is it because you respect your body? Or is it just a vanity thing of, you want to look good on the beach, And knowing what that intention is very powerful.
So would it matter if it was a vanity thing? Or?
I think it just depends on your character and what you value. Obviously I work in Orange County, so the vanity is real.
Sure.
But I always come back to another why, a more emotional why, because vanity will only get us so far. But if there's a reason why, like, oh, I saw my mother struggle with Alzheimer's, or, my best friend died of colon cancer, like that's way more powerful. And that is going to drive you so much farther along your health journey than I want to look good on the beach.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, because that seems like more of a temporary thing for me. Now that I just think about that, I would say, I'm gonna look good for the beach, and there's the week I'm at the beach, and after that, I can just let myself go again.
Or let's just say, you end up being in a relationship, and that person doesn't care what you look like, and then all of a sudden now you're just eating, less healthy foods, and you gain weight. It's like that motivation to just look good on the beach is short-lived.
Okay, all right, I have a new scenario now. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so let's say I'm tired of walking from my car to work, and I'm out of breath, and I know that it's bad, that if I can't walk, less than a quarter mile inside my office, that something is terribly wrong. And I know it's because my body's carrying an extra X amount of pounds. So I want to do something to feel better.
Beautiful. Then yes, there's a why there. There's a why. So that way you can walk from your car to the office and around without being shortness of breath.
Boom.
So that's your why. And that's more powerful. And so from there, I would take a look at a patient's complete lifestyle. I would take a look at their diet, obviously. I would take a look at their physical activity, their sleep, their mental health, because all of those things will have an impact on their weight.
Sure.
They could have a perfect diet and be sleeping 5 hours a night. And that's the reason why they're not able to lose weight.
Yeah, there is so much, what is that I'm trying to say, that people, this entrepreneur mentality that goes there, it's like, you don't need to sleep. You only need 4 hours of sleep and you can get everything done. But there's so much, you need sleep. And if you do get 4 hours, fine. If it works for you, fine, that's fine. But at what cost? I mean, what cost is it giving you? And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, there's a lot of research on sleep that, and I'm trying to get my 7-8 hours plus every night. I don't care.
Me too, because that's more important than nutrition in regards to longevity, is getting adequate sleep. And it's what are you like, what's the cost here? It's your freaking longevity and your well-being. That's the cost. It's the same thing with eating. Are you going to eat a bunch of junk food so you don't feel good in 20 years? Or are you going to do the discipline needed to add in some plants and change your diet so that way you can feel great in 20 years?
Yeah.
Same thing with sleep.
One thing I never realized that, with obviously, you sit there pounding drinks and alcohol and stuff, and that you pass out or whatever, but you think you fell asleep, but you really didn't fall asleep. It's basically your body just kind of get rid of the alcohol, right?
It's sedating you. Yeah.
And I never knew how much that played or could affect someone until, I don't know, probably after college. I was like, shoot, what did I just do during college? I thought I was sleeping. I thought I was going to pass out and fell asleep, but no.
Nope. I know. I was the same way in college. And I think we all need to experience it for ourselves to actually learn. But I was like going to school and then personal training at like 5 a.m. and then going to bed at like midnight. So I was getting, 4 hours of sleep for a good 3 years there. And I'm so happy to like be able to sleep 8 hours every night now.
How was you personal trained during college?
Yeah. While I was in school, nutrition school.
How'd that go?
It was great. I loved it. I was a little arrogant shit, honestly. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here.
Yeah. I've been doing it. I don't mind. Free speech.
But yeah, I was rather arrogant at that time. I mean, I was 20, 22. So I give myself a little grace for that. But I felt like I knew everything. I had the good body, so I could teach people how to, eat and exercise. But I've come a long way since then with my practices with my clients.
Yeah, no, I relate to that 100%. Like we were talking about earlier with eating chicken and meat or chicken and broccoli and raw brown rice. And that was just kind of my thing was that, oh yeah, I'm good. I can tell you how to work out. Just follow me, do what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. Like I look hot. Like I can teach you how to also.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I thought that was almost more of a bro mentality just because it seemed easier that way. I guess girls do the same way, or females.
Yeah, I definitely have more like masculine energy. Like I'm a workaholic, I'm like go type of personality. Good. So I think it's more so my personality.
Would you have to have that type of work ethic with your being a registered dietitian, or?
No, I'd say actually most dietitians are very nice and gentle and meek. I'm definitely more of like the outrageous one that will say crap. Like if something's bothering me, like I will let you know that it's bothering me. Whereas a lot of dietitians are really nice.
But you got to say that. I think you got to be able to be straightforward with people. This is what I like if I was getting this type of services and stuff, I don't want people to bullshit me around. I want them given to me, give it to me straight.
Right.
And that's also motivating to me at the same time.
Yes. And you need to be honest. And I mean, most dietitians are honest, but they do it in such a nice way that I don't think it's as effective versus, telling the patient like, hey, if you don't stop drinking soda, like your fatty liver is not going to improve. Mm-hmm. We have to be direct.
It goes to one of these things that, I'm not saying you should ever body shame anybody, and I'm not saying or advocating that, but with me personally, just for me, that if somebody was like, Chris, looks like you've been eating pretty good lately, just eating, like, okay, all right, I'm doing something wrong here. Let me dial it back down a little bit. But I also know I'm very self-aware that when I get in these habits and stuff, and that if I do start to get out of my daily routine, that's what really helps me is discipline and routine. And like I said, when I eat like a boring person, like I know exactly what I'm going to be doing all throughout the day.
Right.
7 days a week. So.
The human brain loves routine. And I'm sure your brain feels so good when it's in its routine because it knows what's happening. It knows what's next.
Yeah, it does. Cause I just always like, it knows what's next. I know what my meal is going to be and I know how I'm going to feel. And can some things go out of whack? Yeah. But I remember back in college, speaking of routine, that it was always kind of weird that, or weird for me that if somebody said you had a routine, I almost felt like I was like kind of like a loser's kind of nerd mentality. It's like, no, man, just fly by the seam of your pants. You don't need to hang, just do whatever, man. But I guess there's a lot of power into it is what I'm saying now. And I've learned that. It was not really tough for me to learn, but as I wanted to get serious with certain things, it was like, ooh, yeah, I like this.
Yes.
And just like what you said, I like knowing like how I'm going to feel. I'm like knowing where my next meal is going to be, and it makes life easier for me.
Yes. The brain like simple. The brain like simple. And once we make it simple, it's very easy to get into these good habits for longevity.
Yeah. Do you have any do you keep any like nutrition goals or like your future? I know you wrote your book and stuff. I mean, but is that like talking about work ethic and simple and stuff? I mean, is that what you're
Yeah, I'm a very driven person. Obviously, as soon as I finished this book, I'm like, what's the next book? So that's definitely starting the brainstorm there. But also I'm working more so on getting, building up my business, like my coaching business. I'm moving away from like the basic dietitian, like one-on-one model, because I'm finding that doing a long-term deal, like, because gut health does not heal overnight. And I think some people think that it takes months, sometimes a year to actually heal the gut. So I'm moving away from like individual sessions and doing more of the, like, I guess the business model where you're working with me for a year and like, that's that. And we're going to heal your gut in the process.
Is that kind of what I know you've said that a couple of times. Is that you're kind of more of your focus is gut health?
Yes. Yeah. I prefer longevity nutrition, honestly. Like I would rather take a generally healthy person and make them healthier, but because there's such a need for gut health and I'm good at it and I see so many patients and I've been working in this specialty for some time now, I guess it's my duty to help these patients.
Yeah. a lot of people need that help. I mean, what is it, 60% are obese now in America? I could be wrong on that stat.
And gut health issues are rising. I mean, SIBO, like it's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, is like a huge GI condition right now that I see so many patients. IBS is on the rise. I mean, gastritis, which is inflammation of the stomach, is on the rise. So a lot of people are actually like ill. They're sick and they need medical nutrition therapy. And that's where I come in.
And they don't realize that they're actually that sick, probably.
No, some of them realize. Yeah. Okay. Some of them realize. Some people don't want to acknowledge it's their lifestyle. Although I slowly show them, okay, hey, look at how you're handling stress. Look at how you're coping with it. You're coping it with food. So I slowly enlighten them along the way.
What is your thoughts on supplements? I mean, is that part of your regimen?
Oh, yeah. Supplements have a place for sure. I always like to think of them as crutches. Of course, I would prefer my patient to get their nutrients from their food.
Sure.
However, if they are broken, hence like a broken digestive system, or, stress is out of control, then that is where supplements come in to help with a broken person. But just to take like all these random supplements, I know a lot of people are doing that. Like they're just taking prebiotics and probiotics for their gut health. And it's like, well, number one, like, do you even know what strain you need? And number two, like that companies are really good at marketing, which is why you bought their product.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of those supplement industry, and that, I used to think that I needed pre-workouts and a bunch of shit all the time. And I finally realized that, I mean, I do it now? Yeah, but it's just creatine, if you want to say caffeine, and just whey protein. And sometimes casein protein was part of that RP diet that I did, but that's the only three I usually stick with. And I throw a multivitamin in there. And then going back on COVID, I was up in my vitamin D to, was it 3,000 IUs? I think I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just because I was like, oh shit, if I get COVID, that's what they were finding out. Most people who had bad cases were having lack of vitamin D.
Exactly. And so, if you just make sure your vitamin D levels are adequate, you won't be going to the hospital. I mean, so just make sure those are good. And also ask your doctor to check your vitamin D levels, because they won't just check it. You have to ask them to check it.
Yeah. Like getting a blood panel? Is that what it's called? Blood work?
A blood panel. Yeah. And honestly, just like a rule of thumb is during the winter time, especially in Virginia, you're not getting adequate vitamin D, even if you're outside all day. So just take 5,000 IUs during the winter time, and just to cover your bases.
5,000?
Yeah, I take 5,000 during the winter, and I'm in Southern California.
Make me a little shopping list right here.
Yes, and the thing is, vitamin D3 is so cheap. Like, there's no excuse. There's no, like, we should honestly be paying for people's vitamin D because it's so much cheaper than like hospital bills.
Yeah, there was something else that I was taking too during when COVID was heat scare course.
Was it vitamin C and zinc?
Zinc was part of it, but quercetin.
Oh, quercetin. Yeah.
Quercetin. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. I guess I heard on somebody else talking about that. And I implemented that.
There's definitely benefits. It strengthens the immune system. I would say vitamin C, zinc, quercetin, and vitamin D are most essential in regarding your immune system.
Mm. Do you take anything daily, like a multivitamin, or for yourself?
Yeah. For me, I'm again flexitarian, so I'm like I like the middle ground. I like the middle ground. So let's say it's a day that I went to a party, I didn't eat very well. Like, I'm for sure taking my multivitamin. I'm for sure taking a fish oil supplement. I'll take my vitamin D. I'll take a magnesium. So I'm making sure that I'm getting all the nutrients that I know I was missing throughout the day. Versus if it's a day that I ate really well, I ate fish, then there's no need for me to do the fish oil that day. So I base it off of, okay, what did I eat this day? Like, do I need to supplement? Because that's what supplements are. They're not meant to replace. They're supplementing what we missed in our diet.
Sure. Yeah. That's part of the reason, I kind of got on the multivitamin kick, was because I knew I was not eating perfectly. And even though, whatever, if my body didn't use the rest of it, I know they say, what is, you piss out the rest of it, but
yeah, you'll just have neon yellow or pee, basically.
Yeah. Do you usually drink, speaking of that, do you usually drink water all throughout the day?
Oh, yes. Water is the most essential nutrient because so many mechanisms in your body depend on water, specifically fat burn. So you literally cannot burn fat if you are not well hydrated. So drink your water and also you just feel better when you're actually hydrated.
Yeah, no, I crush a cup of coffee in the morning, sometimes two. Actually, yeah, I used to drink a lot of coffee. And
Mhm.
when me and my buddy I was talking about earlier, we did a no alcohol, no caffeine month, and I didn't realize until I was writing it down how much caffeine I was taking in on a daily basis.
Wow.
Like it was, let's say a cup of coffee was an average of what, 100 milligrams?
Hmm.
Maybe. So yeah, I would do at least two or three every morning. Then I would sometimes, felt like I have to have one of those rain or bang drinks before my workouts, and there were another two or three, whatever they
Yeah.
are. And but the problem is, I was sleeping. I'd go back to my normal time, and I was sleeping, and I was fine. I was like, I'm good. But it wasn't until when I cut back on all that I was actually dreaming again, and I was like, oh. I'm actually having dreams now. I'm actually getting
Wow.
deeper sleep. Yeah. And so
Wow, that's
now
cool.
yeah, and it was like that's one thing that you just experiment and play with stuff, and you're like, "Ooh, this is ridiculous," and like how just much you didn't realize that you were doing could be hurting yourself. And like now that I drink, I think I do at most would do 2 cups of coffee a day, and
Mhm.
sometimes we have these Fit Aid drinks at our gym. I don't know if you know what they are, but it's like 40 milligrams. But it's like so much I dialed back. It's just such a lifestyle change. And I feel good. I feel great. I feel like I don't even when I was not had no caffeine, I even felt great. Like I didn't need it. Yeah, the first week sucked, but
Yeah.
after that, yeah, I was like, good to go, bro.
No, that's amazing. I'm glad that you even went a period of time without the most commonly used drugs, which is caffeine and alcohol, because
Mm-hmm.
it's important to just remind your body that it doesn't need it. I think so many people they need their caffeine,
Yeah,
right? Like they cannot survive without their caffeine. And
exactly.
it's like just try a week, try a month, it'll be hell, but you will be
Yeah,
fine. It's our animalistic brain that says, no, I will die if
yeah,
I don't have this.
yeah.
But it's good to have a detox.
It's like a lifestyle thing too. That no matter what, it's like, oh, let's just go get a cup of coffee. Let's just go over here get a cup of coffee or whatever. And then you don't even realize in like other drinks like how much caffeine is actually in those. Like a soda or whatever. I think it's like 40 or 50.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. So it's the combination of the caffeine and sugar that's very detrimental versus like if you're just having a black coffee every morning, like it's a little bit different.
exactly. Then people who get there, and I don't know, whatever. If you want to drink your Starbucks drinks, I don't care. I'm ultimately for like, hey, if you're not hurting yourself, if you're not hurting anybody else, do whatever you want to. I don't care.
Right.
But when people go to Starbucks or whatever, and they get extra shots and extra whatever, and it was just like, whoa, how much is actually in that? And I didn't never realize. I never really thought about it. I guess it was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, they're crushing the caffeine.
Yeah, I know. I kind of did a similar thing as you where I just stopped drinking caffeine and I realized like I could actually fall asleep. I don't have insomnia because sometimes I'll be like laying there in bed and I can't go to sleep. Right. But as soon as I stopped caffeine, I was like passed out.
Yeah, it's just so much. I mean, like I said, I feel like we're living off momentum a lot, and that you don't sit back and realize how much you're taking in or what you're actually putting in your body. You're just going through it day by day. And yeah, I guess that's a whole kind of the biggest message. If I had to say anything, was that, hey, just sit back and reflect on a few things. And like I said, if you want to change something, write it down, see what's going on, and then find somebody like you and see like how can you change it for a positive note if you're not liking the way things are going.
Right. And just make the list and start with the easiest thing on the list. I think we try so hard to just change everything at once. And honestly, that could be like my one tip is write your list. And if that one thing is that you can't drink enough water, but you think that's the easiest thing on the list, start there. Just start there and you're going to notice the difference. And that momentum is going to start to build. And the more that we check another thing off the list, it keeps building. And then soon enough, a year later, you're like a whole new person.
Yeah. That's lovely. I like that. And I know we're getting kind of close on time here, Tatiana, but I wanted to ask you before we get off here, how long did it take you to write the book? I always, I admire people who do nutrition and do your work, and also people who write books, because it was something kind of like, I wish I kind of would have did that or would do that, but I don't know what I would do. But anyway, I like it.
Yeah, no, it took me, so Hungry for Truth. I worked on that one for about 2 years. And then I detoured quite a bit. So that's when during the pandemic, I detoured over to the Code of a Healthy Mind. And because I realized with my patients, it's mindset is more important than me just telling them what to do.
Sure.
So that's why I veered off, wrote Code of a Healthy Mind. And then I finished up Hungry for Truth. But I would say, you think it takes longer the more like that you procrastinate and feel like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. You keep working on it and you keep editing it. But like at some point you just need to say like, this is what it is and it is good enough and I'm going to publish it.
Is it part of also that everything's changing so much as you write as far as.
Yeah. Or my beliefs change.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was the beauty of the book. And like, honestly, I always tell people, like, I wrote the book for myself because it made me question everything that I believe, which makes my belief stronger, because now that I know I've already questioned it, I've already challenged it. I know I hold my belief strongly now.
Yeah. One of the things, going back on Jordan Peterson again, is that when I first started these podcasts and stuff, that to be more articulate, you should actually write down your thoughts and your feelings and come up with 2 or 3 different arguments on a certain whatever, Roe v. Wade, gun control, and we don't have to talk about that. But and that way, when these conversations do come up, you already have your arguments written out, and you kind of understand like why you wrote that in your own belief system. And it's powerful stuff. He's like, I think he said, like, if you want to become a dangerous man, you should do that. And I'm still trying. I'm still trying to get good at it. I try to do it I do it once-ish a week. Sometimes a little less. Sometimes I take weeks off, but I haven't built that habit. But I'm trying to. But when I have done it, it's like, ooh, I like the way this is going.
Yeah, I love that. No, writing is such a powerful thing. And like physically writing, yeah, there's a connection in something that goes on in your brain when you're actually writing things down. So I personally do like a journaling session every morning called the Morning Pages. It was created by Julia Cameron. She's a phenomenal creative. But I took that practice from her and it has changed my life.
So you do a journal every morning, you write?
Yeah. So it's the Morning Pages is three pages of brain dump every morning, and you don't stop. You're not trying to write anything articulate. You're not trying to like impress anybody. Grammar doesn't matter. Spelling doesn't matter. It's just a brain dump. And that, like, the mental clarity you experience after doing a brain dump like that is amazing. And like, so I'm addicted to it. Like, I cannot start my morning without the Morning Pages.
Is it one of these? So we did exercise like this in college, and I don't remember how it went. So we were at a computer and we had to start typing, and no matter what you were typing, it didn't matter if it was wrong, spelling was wrong, grammar was wrong, you just kept typing. And eventually, or obviously you knew what you were writing in the beginning, but your mind just kind of takes over X amount of time halfway through. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yes. And the things that you realize that's in your brain is crazy. You uncover things that you never knew were there. And so it's a great personal development tool, but also just great for creatives. I mean, to just get the blob, all like the nonsense out of their brain, so that way they can actually be in a state of mental clarity.
Do you think there's a difference in typing it out on a laptop compared to, I know you said you write it, but
there's a difference. The writing itself, like the physical movement, is like a meditative state versus like typing is just not the same.
Yeah. Cause when I've done it both ways, and I felt that when I was typing, I don't know if it was a habit or whatever, but it was just like send a text like, oh, that was wrong. Let me go back. And like, I never really fully got into that mode or zone or whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Try it again. Yeah. Just get like a regular notebook and set a timer for like 25 minutes and just write, and don't let yourself stop. Even if it means like, don't stop. Even if you're writing the same thing over and over again, just let yourself and like, let your brain go. And it's like the coolest experience. You're just like watching yourself write, and you're like, whoa, like I'm here and I'm writing. It's a cool experience.
Do you have any music on in the background or anything while you did it?
I do listen to music. Yeah, I like to listen to music, like instrumental, inspirational music.
Just something that's kind of obviously set for the mood there, and not get you obviously hyped up for a workout or something. So
yeah,
cool. All right, I got me a little shopping list here that you gave me today. Well, thank you for being here. I know if you want to plug in, if people want to find you, your book, and all that stuff, go ahead and do that.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram at Vitamin K RD. And also my website is Vitamin K, spelled Keay. That's my last name, vitamink.com. Yeah. So basically you got to take your vitamin K.
That was clever. I kept thinking like, where'd she get the vitamin K from? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if K is my last name, so Vitamin K, RD, and then vitamink.com.
Cool. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, to find my books, you could just go on Amazon and type in Tatiana Keay, and both my books should pop up. If not, then going to my social media, it's in the link in the bio, the
people
basics.
are smart enough. They can find it. They know how to Google stuff. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this. I think we covered a lot. I think we crushed this.
Yeah. And I would love to offer your listeners just the first chapter of Hungry for Truth. So I'll send that over to you, and that hopefully that they can have it just to make sure like they like my vibe and like how I write. I want to give that to them.
Yeah.
Because I think the first chapter is most important.
I'll put that in the show notes as well. So, cool. Well, anything else you want to say, or we good to go?
No, just good luck on your health journey if you're listening, and like do your best. And Chris, you do your best too. I mean,
always. It's
a crazy world out there, and like we're responsible for our own health, and you got to just do your best.
Love it. All right. Let's take this home on that. I like that. That's a good note. So, all right. Everybody, we're out of here. Be good to yourselves and all that good stuff.